So let's go ahead and get started. Again, I want to welcome everyone. Today, we're going to talk about how hybrid software or how software is supporting the hybrid and remote workplace. So this is probably one of the obviously hottest topics in the last few years. And software like Slingshot, like Microsoft Teams or others that help with collaboration have just skyrocketed in adoption because companies have all moved to that hybrid remote workplace. So how does software support that? How can you benefit from it? We're going to talk about that today. So our host today, of course, is Casey McGuigan. She's our product owner for Slingshot and our Reveal product. She's been with the product since day one. So if you have any questions, please use the chat and the discussions to go ahead and ask. My name is Jason Barris. I'm our Senior VP of Developer Tools at Infragistics. And I'm going to go through some slides really quick because I know we don't like slides. We only have about 30 minutes today. And we're going to jump into a demo and show how this actually all works together. So today's agenda, remote work by the numbers. We'll look at the benefits of remote work and hybrid remote work best practices. You can ignore that panoply. That is the next webinar that we're doing. I think it's in a couple of weeks. When are we doing the partner webinar with Panoply?
August. I forget. 18th.
August. That's good enough. Yeah. So Panoply actually is a really cool product, and I'm kind of glad that we're mentioning it here. So good idea sneaking that in. It really allows this data source and ETL type situation where you can connect into Panoply. It does all this good stuff with your data, and then something like Slingshot can just consume it. And what was really cool is we had met with the Panoply CTO, VP of engineering, maybe 3-4 months ago. And we understood what they did, and we're showing them Slingshot. And then he's creating dashboards right in front of us. Like, never saw the product until that meeting. And that was actually really cool. So we're going to see a lot more of that in that webinar. So please register for that. And it shows how you can get that third-party integration with something like Slingshot as well. So let's look at remote work by the numbers. None of these numbers should be a surprise to you, of course, because there's been reports by Microsoft, by Google, by others, by the big agencies that are really looking at what's the impact of remote work and how can companies improve. So 36% have issues with project management within the digital workplace. Not a surprise. Why? Because before COVID, before we're all remote and hybrid, we could just walk across the hall and talk to someone. You never really had that pure disconnect where the meeting ends, you hang up and you're just like, oh man, I should have asked these other 3 or 4 questions. 54% of companies plan to incorporate a digital workplace platform. So what that really means is they may have something today that does maybe one thing, but they need a few other things to actually see some success, maybe some better collaboration, ultimately better business outcomes. 60% of workers aged 22 to 65 work from home at least occasionally. I know at Infragistics, we are 100% work from home. And then maybe in different offices, like our office in Uruguay, a few people go to the office in Bulgaria, maybe 50% of the people. The US, it's 0%. Everyone's still working remote. The UK, remote. Japan, remote. So we're your typical company today where a lot of folks are just working remote. And that also means you can hire talent from anywhere and use a digital workplace like Slingshot to integrate them very quickly. And then 30% are more productive and engaged from home. I think this number is going to ebb and flow based on tooling and based on what period your company is at from working at home. I know in the very beginning of the pandemic, the productivity was really high. And then people realize, oh my gosh, I'm working, I'm never leaving my desk. So it's kind of ebbed and flowed throughout that. But either way, what these numbers do tell us is that a digital workplace platform does help you get more organized. And if you deploy one, you'll get more of that collaboration from the folks on your team and the folks in your organization. So the benefits of remote work, work-life balance, no more commuting stress. I know both Casey and I would commute for like an hour to work. And by the time we get to work, was like, oh man, I've already been on the road for an hour. And then leaving work, do I leave at 5 or do I wait till like 6:30 till traffic dies down? And then you're at the office for 10 or 11 hours a day. And if you lived in New Jersey, like we do, the Turnpike, the New Jersey Turnpike, getting off the Turnpike at exit 8A is just a total headache. You dread getting off the Turnpike and on the Turnpike. And I know you guys all experience the same thing in your commutes to work. So you remove that stress, you get location freedom. Now Airbnb has these this concept of a workcation where people are actually taking vacations to Airbnbs and they're working from there. But it's not a vacation. They're actually just going, hey, I've never been to whatever country. I'm going to go get an Airbnb for 2 weeks or a month and work from there because I can. All I need is internet. The environmental impact is huge. If you look at some of the charts and graphs from the beginning of the pandemic to prior to the pandemic, just the impact on air quality is amazing how it's improved because people aren't going back and forth to work. And then, of course, we talk about increased productivity all the time. So again, all your team members are in one place in a digital collaboration, a digital workplace platform. All your data is accessible. And this is really interesting because you might be like, well, wait a minute, our data was accessible before we used Power BI. Well, what we've discovered throughout this journey of our Reveal product and now Slingshot is that only the lucky few had data because the platforms and products they use didn't promote collaboration and sharing. And then at the other end of the spectrum, this whole sort of desire to share really wasn't there. It was more like, this, you don't need this data. Well, now in a digital collaboration, a digital workplace platform like Slingshot, you have a data catalog. Everyone has access to data. Anyone can search in there and say, I need to know what's happening with this account-based marketing program. Show me the dashboards. And if you have permissions, you can bring up those dashboards. And the nice thing about something like Slingshot is you can ask for permission right in the app. And if the owner of that data piece or dashboard or document says, yeah, you know what, Bob should have access to this, they just click OK. And then all of a sudden it opens for it. They're like, hey, Bob, you know what, this data is really specific to this team and we don't want to share it outside of the team. You can go to my boss for permission. And usually that's kind of the conversations that you have. So this focus on clear communication, in fact, just working with product teams here at Infragistics through Slingshot is much more efficient than what we had in something like Teams because everything is tied together. We've got data, we've got content, we've got discussions, and we've got chat and all of our goals. So it just makes it much easier to work. And then, of course, the biggest benefit is once you do find that right tool, you do see all of these things that we've talked about really start to grow and accelerate your productivity. So let's go ahead and see this in action. Casey, you can go ahead and share your screen and show everyone a demo on how Slingshot can sort of facilitate some of the things we just talked about.
Yep. All right. Share. And you can see my Slingshot?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So yeah, I'm going to demo through an ABM use case today because of working remote and internally running an ABM program. It relies on a lot of communication between multiple departments. So within ABM, you have sales and marketing, of course, very heavily involved, but then there's times where you need input from product on timing of features and key stakeholders want to be included. So a remote work environment with ABM, I felt like was a good use case. So coming into Slingshot here, in the top left corner is where you kind of are able to maintain your everyday work. You're able to see all of the tasks that are assigned to you from anywhere in Slingshot. You're able to quickly get, as Jason said, being able to quickly share and accept shares throughout the application, get anything that's been shared with me, whether it's a set of tasks, a dashboard, a piece of content, like a Excel file, PowerPoint, whatever. would show up here. My analytics, where I can see any of my favorite dashboards that I've personally created. I have a quick link right to, my data catalog, which Jason also just mentioned, where typical business users can come here that maybe you don't feel comfortable creating dashboards, don't know how, don't know where the data is. You can come to your organization's data catalog, look for something around maybe SEO in this search box or whatever it might be, get your search results, and you can see based on the certification levels, how trustworthy is that data source or dashboard that you're viewing. So it's a really easy way to establish a data-driven culture within your organization and give everybody access to the insights that they need. Coming down to your workspaces and projects. So I'm going to focus more into this ABM workspace, but you can see in the marketing use case that this is a workspace with projects underneath of it. The nice thing in Slingshot is not every initiative really has a ton of projects underneath of it. Something like maybe sales enablement, which is a shared effort as well between sales and marketing, is just an area where you need to keep content. That is something that you can very easily accomplish in the flexibility of our workspaces, where you're able to actually toggle off these tabs that you want to use, and you can just use them as single entities over here on the left-hand side. So you can see I turned off projects. If this was just for sales enablement to share content, I could actually turn off everything except for these pins here, which you'll see kind of what that looks like in a few minutes. So coming into your workspace here at your overview, I'm very quickly able to see all of the different members that belong to this workspace. I can provide people with high-level important content up here on the overview. So I want people to have quick access to our main dashboard and analytics. For ABM, I want to make sure both marketing and sales knows and has access to our product tone of voice and our product messaging. And then I'd be able to see any missed mentions for myself as well throughout the application. And then coming over here to tasks is where a lot of your project task management comes into play. So you can see I have these different lists on the left-hand side that I'm able to organize my tasks even within a project for ABM. So I can not have a giant long list of tasks. I can break it out between, all right, what do I have to do for the website? What are the new campaigns that we have running or need to kick off? And I can create my tasks over here. So you can see tasks and subtasks. This is in a list view right now. If I change this to a Kanban, I can look at things by status. I can even switch this to be grouped by different things. So I can look at assignee if I wanted to look at more like a workload kind of view for all of my people working on this workspace. I'm just going to flip this back. And then we also have timeline view, where you can start to see a lot of or some of the dependencies and how those line up, that you can create both within the task card that you can see here, or with the little nodes with the simple drag and drop. I'm able to create dependencies as well. I'll just flip this back, and popping over to discussions is definitely huge for working remote, right? Like you're not calling in-person meetings. You can't really go up to your coworker's desk anymore. So within Slingshot, you have in-context conversations with the people that are working on your team, initiative, or project. So within this ABM workspace, there's different campaigns going on. We have a discussion going on around opportunities where you can actually see data and insights being shared back and forth. There's multiple people that anybody on this workspace can kind of get involved now in this collaborative conversation. even tasks have been created right from this conversation now. So from the overflow, you can create tasks. Now there's been action that's been taken from looking at data into this task. So it really makes the whole productivity so much quicker within needing to go from talking to coworkers to taking action to looking at results when it all is happening in one place. So from here, looks like I had a mention where need to talk budgets. I can very easily come in here, create a task for myself. I can create a new list for budgets, and then I can assign this to myself. This would be discuss budgets, and it's automatically pulling a live link right to that discussion into the task card, so that when this is now shown up on my view next week, I can come here, click this little card, and it brings me right to this conversation that's going on, so I can very quickly get back into the mindset of what this task was for. Popping over to your pins. So ABM, of course, is filled with content and emails and testing. So you can keep all of your really important information here in an organized fashion. So I don't have to, when I need to find the messaging guide for Diamond, I don't need to send somebody a message and wait for them to get back to me if they can find it. I don't need to go into SharePoint and go 10 levels and folders deep. I don't need to go searching through my email. I can very easily know, okay, I got to find for ABM, my Diamond campaigns, and it's here. And I can always very quickly find the information I need when I need it. This is directly also connected into any of your cloud providers. So from your content here, I can pull in files and documents from Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox, Box, and SharePoint. So I don't need to even go to those other providers either to grab my content. And then just you can see some URL links in here, but here's just another example of pulling together content in context with research and URLs and best practices and things like that. And then into dashboards here, which no project is complete without data, whether it's looking at how previous projects ran to make decisions on current projects. Within Slingshot, we have a whole business intelligence engine embedded right into here. So for account-based marketing, you need to know what is driving. Oh boy, this was just working. Jason, can you still hear me, or did I lose internet?
Nope, I hear and see you.
Am I logged in the wrong person? I might be logged in as the wrong user. Let me try to sign out real quick. I just put them there.
I don't have that dashboard. Are you in the ABM project in marketing?
Yeah, but I think I was logged in as the wrong person. There we go. It was on Marissa's stuff. So that was a good example of if you don't have access to the data, you cannot see it.
Yeah, because I actually just found it and I can see it perfectly.
Yeah, okay. So as I was saying, Slingshot has a full BI engine embedded right inside of it. So for ABM, you need to know about opportunities, sessions, engagement from account level metrics in real time. So here's just an example of a dashboard, and creating these is very easy. So if I come up here to even edit this, and I want to add a visualization to this dashboard, you can see some of the different sources that we connect to here. But if I go to add a data source, you can see Excel, a ton of your marketing data, like right into Google Ads, Google Analytics, HubSpot, Salesforce, your social connectors. We have a REST API as well, and a ton of different databases and big data to connect to. So for this, I'm just going to do a little shortcut and duplicate one of these and go into edit mode. And say I want to create a line chart. I come here, pull over my month, pull over my high intent users reached, maybe is what I want to see. And I'll just remove account since that's a lot. And just like that, I have another chart for looking at the high intent users reached. I'll change the name. And then I'll hit the check up here. And now I can just actually have this take up the whole line. I have freedom to move these things around, etc. So I'll hit the check up here. And now I've added to my dashboard. So you kind of saw in the discussion how that conversation was driven off of data. So right from the overflow on really any Slingshot asset, we have what we refer to as productivity flows. So from this dashboard and data, I can start a chat, I can create a task, I can start a discussion. So I'll go to, let's create a task here. And from looking at this, I can see that sessions dropped, ads maybe dropped, and I want to update our ad messaging. So I'll go into campaigns, click next. That dashboard automatically got pulled into view. I can actually now annotate this as well, where if I wanted to take screenshots and put in, I'll actually take a screenshot of the full dashboard, and I can start annotating with text and shapes and stuff in here so that if I'm assigning this to somebody else, they can get like full context into what I'm seeing, maybe with my notes and insights that I put up here. So I'll hit the check and click done. Now there's an image for the person I'm going to assign this to. I'm going to say update creatives. Oh my God. And I will assign this over to Adele, give her a due date, and also let her know that this is high priority. And I'll click create. And now my task was created. So when I come back to my tasks here in ABM, there is this task for update creatives. Adele has quick access right to the dashboard. It's not a copy of it. It's that same instance and the annotated image as well. And these types of flows that really save you time in a digital workplace are all over in Slingshot. So from a task, I can start a private chat or a conversation. From your pins, where if somebody maybe needed to update this messaging guide, I can very easily go create a task from here, pick where I want to put it, and it pulls in that document automatically. So I don't need to go through a ton of steps to go fetch this document, create a new task, attach it, and stuff like that. And it's those, while they seem kind of small, they save a ton of time. I think, Jason, that was it. Was there anything you think I missed?
No, I answered all the questions, and they weren't, I don't think they were anything that you could demo. But yeah, just where can people log in? They just go to slingshotapp.io and they can try it themselves.
Oh yeah, slingshotapp.io. Excuse me, I'm choking. The main button, of course, on our site will take you to the web. But from our drop down here, we have a download apps where you can get links to our Mac OS download, any of our mobile downloads, our Windows download. And then, yeah, in the App Store, if you search for Slingshot for Teams, that is also available.
Awesome. I also just launched a poll. If you guys could take a second or two and answer the questions on the poll, there's only a handful, maybe 3 or 4. What we do is we collect all these questions throughout the year, and then we publish a survey a couple times a year with the update on what we find and then how that gels with what others are finding. So there's some pretty large surveys out there that folks are doing. So yeah, we'd appreciate it if you could jump in and give your answers to the poll. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and reshare my screen and we will wrap this up. Share. Okay. So thank you again, Casey. Great demo. And this is it. This is your last slide. Get started today at slingshotapp.io. We appreciate everyone joining the webinar today. Again, we mentioned the Panoply webinar. It's in about a month. It's going to be really useful on the whole data side, because that's usually where people fall down is, how do I get my data in a useful format to use inside Slingshot? I don't always want to use Excel. So we'll see how that works. But yeah, thanks again, everyone. Thanks again, Casey, for this. And we will see everyone at the next webinar.